The anime tells the story of extra-normal high school student Minoru Kagino, who has a hidden life as a thug slayer, and dreams of becoming so powerful to be able to withstand a nuclear attack. The story starts with Akane Nishino, the heiress of a large corporation. She finds her driver waiting for her after she prepares for another school day and leaves her house. At school, she meets her classmate Kagino, a mediocre student who rarely shows any interest in her. He strikes Nishino as odd since he does not even care to remember her name, and does not make her feel special. Later in the classroom, the students surround Nishino to ask her about the upcoming drama that she is featuring in, and she loves the attention. Meanwhile, Kagino continues to be lost in his thoughts, completely clueless about the mundane discussions of his classmates. Akane, on the other hand, has worked really hard to get good grades to build a rapport with the teachers while being in the good books of her classmates too. After the end of the day, Akane calls her driver, but he does not answer. It turns out that he is surrounded by a few thugs who brutally beat him up. Clueless about this, Nishino decides to walk back home, but the same people kidnap her on an empty street. As she is forcefully taken away, Nishino sees Kagino watching the whole drama unfold from a distance. After kidnapping Nishino, the kidnappers immediately send a ransom note to her parents. However, one of them is not interested in just sitting around and waiting, so he decides to sexually abuse her. It turns out that she has been abducted once in the past as well, by a stalker who had abused her. In the present time, the kidnapper plans to do the same, but his eyes suddenly fall on a shadow standing on the roof and looking at him through the glass window. Without a shred of fear, the mysterious man jumps straight in and introduces himself as the stylish thug slayer. The abductor that was attempting to abuse Nishino tries to pull out a gun, but the masked man throws knives with such high accuracy that they hit him right on his hands. After this, the stylish thug slayer easily knocks him out. The other abductor calmly introduces himself to the masked man and casually mentions that he has worked in the military in the past. To his surprise, his enemy replies that he has always wanted to fight a soldier. The two of them do not waste time and are at each other's throats moments later. While the battle looks balanced initially, the stylish thug slayer slowly gains the upper hand and mentions that he is the same person who has been beating biker gangs up in recent times. The kidnapper is shocked to realize that he is fighting the ski mask berserker. But it's too late for him now, and the masked man effortlessly incapacitates him after beating him up brutally with a crowbar, which is his favorite weapon. He then frees Nishino and advises her to not walk back home alone from now on. It is then revealed that the stylish thug slayer and ski mask berserker are both actually Kagino. After Nishino called the police, help arrived soon afterward, and her father ensured that the news did not reach the public. The identity of the stylish thug slayer remained a mystery. When Nishino meets Kagino the following day, she has a feeling that he too is living a life in the shadows much like her, but has no evidence of it. Unfortunately, a few days later, while walking on the street, Kagino is run over by a truck. The accident happened as the driver was not looking ahead. Kagino ended up dying on the spot, while further investigations into his death were started by the police soon afterward. However, despite losing his life in a road accident, his dream of becoming an eminence in the shadow does not die. He gets reincarnated as Sid Kaganu and starts his own secret organization known as Shadow Garden. After Minoru Kagino dies in a road accident, he is surprisingly reborn in an alternate world as Sid Kaganu. Now as a member of the aristocratic family, he has a very different life compared to his past. However, Sid decides to continue living a vigilante life by training in secret and pretending to be ordinary in front of others. Therefore, when he grows, people eventually see his older sister Claire as the true heiress of the Kaganu family. Meanwhile, Sid secretly fights bandits, and in one of his nighttime quests, he comes across a living blob of rotting flesh. He understands that it is someone who is cursed, and in order to cure the person, he experiments for a few days. He eventually manages to heal the rotting flesh, who then turns into a beautiful elven girl. Sid takes this as an opportunity to manipulate her. After naming her Alpha, he lies to her that she is actually a descendant of ancient heroes, who had once fought valiantly against the demon Diabolos. Sid goes on to claim that Dabilo's cult is now planning to resurrect him, and she must do something to stop that from happening. Alpha believes his words and ends up forming a group called Shadow Garden to fight against the cult. 3 years later, she manages to find a few members, and the group is collectively called the Shadow 7. Meanwhile, Sid continues to train with his sister Claire but pretends that he has never managed to defeat her. When the nobles turn 15, they are expected to join the Midgar Academy of Dark Knights in the royal capital. Claire has also enrolled there and is now ready to move out of the house for her formal education. Unfortunately, the day she is expected to leave for the royal capital, Claire suddenly goes missing from her room without any trace. It is soon revealed that she has been kidnapped. Sid's mother is furious and has an altercation with his father about the lax safety, while the latter is shocked that someone managed to fight against her. Meanwhile, Sid himself is not that concerned and meets Beta, a member of the Shadow 7, to figure out how they should be finding her. After taking cognizance of the situation, Beta finally meets Sid to discuss the course of action they plan to take. While Sid is confident that the kidnapping is the work of bandits, Beta reports that a high-ranking officer of the cult of Dabilos is involved. According to her, they took Claire because they believe that she is the descendant of one of the heroes. Beta then opens up a map and shows Sid the possible hideouts locations where his sister is probably taken. However, Sid feels that their initial assumptions are wrong. He throws a knife on the map to tell them where to look, but accidentally misses the point he planned to hit. To his surprise, Beta is ecstatic and believes that Sid just hit the nail on the head and pointed in the direction they were not even looking. Soon after this meeting, the 7 Shadows lead a surprise attack on the hideout. Meanwhile, Viscount Grease, the high-ranking officer of the cult of Dabilos, is questioning Claire. When he talks about her brother, Claire breaks her chains and lunges towards him only to be knocked down moments later. One of his men suddenly comes with the news that the hideout has been attacked by the 7 Shadows. Viscount believes that his men are powerful enough to be included in the Royal Guard, but to his shock, they are right now falling like flies in front of the enemies. When Viscount is confronted by Alpha and her underlings, he fights for some time and tries to flee. Unfortunately, he ends up running into Sid, who was lost in the castle. Sid mocks Viscount's fighting abilities before killing him without any remorse. The following day, Claire returns home after breaking her chains. Her injuries are not serious, and she heals soon enough to set out for the royal capital. After successfully saving Claire from her kidnappers, the Shadow 7 meets Sid to discuss something important. In their investigations, the girls found out that the cult of Dabilos is an enormous organization that runs on a global scale and naturally has a significant influence. In order to fight against them, the team of 7 brave women decides to embark on a quest to challenge the cult on a global scale. Sid firmly believes that the cult of Dabilos is not a real organization, and the Shadow 7 deciding to leave him in order to fight against them is just an excuse. He feels that the girls just got tired of playing along with his lies and trusting his stories, so they decided to simply set themselves free. However, Sid does not hold a grudge against them for their decision, as he feels that everyone forgets about superheroes and their dreams once they grow up. Meanwhile, as soon as he turns 15, Sid also enrolls in the Midgar Academy for Dark Knights like his sister. The prestigious institution attracts students from inside and outside of the kingdom. However, it follows the medieval-style hierarchical system, according to which the elites are treated far better than the lower-class aristocrats. Luckily, Sid has managed to make 2 friends named Skell and Pa. On their way to the academy one day, the 2 friends remind Sid of the dare that one has to complete for scoring the least marks on the previous day's exam. Since Sid did the worst, he now has to propose to Princess Alexia, one of the most beautiful girls on the campus, who rejects everyone. Sid expects the same, but when he proposes, she chooses to make him her boyfriend, much to everyone's shock. After Princess Alexia accepts his proposal, Sid suddenly starts getting too much attention at the academy. Later that day, Alexia decides to join Sid, who is having lunch in the cafeteria, and the students there all begin to gossip about the mismatched couple. While they are there, Alexia convinces her boyfriend to join her fencing class. He starts attending fencing lessons with her on the very same day. The couple even has a practice duel. When Mr. Xenon, The royal fencing instructor comes to meet the princess. She informs him that she has started dating Sid. Xenon keeps his calm and calls her decision childish. Xenon goes on to remind Alexia, much to Sid's surprise, that they have been privately betrothed to each other, and she can't keep running away from that all her life. Later that evening, Sid and Alexia discuss their relationship. The former argues that she is just using him to avoid her engagement with Mr. Xenon. Sid, as a lower-class aristocrat, is just the right person for such kind of a goal. The princess does not hide her true intentions anymore, but also reveals that she found out from Skell and Pud that he proposed to her just for a bet. She then goes on to indirectly remind him that the school board will probably not like the fact that a young man tried to play with the emotions of an innocent girl for such a petty reason. Sid shows no fear of the warning and continues to argue that their relationship still does not make much sense, as everyone can see that the princess is out of his league. However, Alexia is no longer interested in discussing the matter and pays Sid to help her out. The duo continues to share a romantic relationship for the public eye, while they are personally conscious of the deal that brought them together. One day Alexia shares that she has nothing against a guy like him who is full of flaws, but Mr. Xenon, on the other hand, has a nearly flawless exterior persona. According to her, people who appear perfect are not right in the head or are massive liars. Someday later, the mismatched couple has a verbal disagreement on the train while heading to their dorms, and they broke their relationship. When Sid returns to the academy the following day, he learns that the princess is missing and he is one of the suspects under investigation. And that's the end of the video. Please tell me your opinion and like the video. Take care, and stay tuned for more videos.